Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another Klingspor's roundtable. As you can see, today we're going to be talking about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is guitar making. We want to look at the different parts of a guitar, we want to see how they're made, and we want to examine and kind of point out what kind of Klingspor products we can use to actually make a guitar. So we're going to dive straight into it. As you can see here, I've got an acoustic guitar. This is a Taylor. And an acoustic guitar and the electric guitar you see behind me over here are two similar instruments, but the way they make sound is totally different. And we'll examine that, we'll look into it. But the processes used in making these two guitars are going to differ like night and day. And we'll, like I say, we'll look into that. We'll see how sanding and how working with tools affects the different sounds you can get out of a guitar. So to start off with, let's look at the sound a little bit. The acoustic guitar is made in such a way that the body is completely hollow. If you look in the sound hole right here, you can see there's nothing but space inside there. And that's on purpose. The way that an acoustic guitar makes sound is when I pluck a string, the body vibrates, okay? And that bounces sound waves around inside the body there, and they come out the sound hole. So an entire chord, like that. Now, there are ways, if you finish this guitar improperly, that you can completely muffle the sound. Sanding has a lot to do with that. With an electric guitar, it's totally different. Matt, would you hold this for a second? An electric guitar is totally different in the fact that the sound is not generated inside the body of the guitar. The sound is picked up by little magnets right underneath each string. That magnet takes an electronic signal, puts it into a coil down here. That coil is attached to the output, and the output sends it out to the amplifier. So the sound you hear in an electric guitar is going to be much quieter unless you plug it into an amplifier. There's hardly anything there, because the sound is created electronically between these pickups and the amplifier.
That is awesome stuff. And today we're going to be going over obviously guitars, but this is something that I wanted to do as well because I don't have a musical bone in my body. So being able to pick Nick's brain is something that is good for the department, it's good for Klingspor, and it's good for our customers as well. So we talked about the sound, right? Is there a difference in the wood that makes an acoustic versus an electric?
Very much so. What's interesting is there are a number of different woods that are used to make acoustic guitars, and each wood has a different characteristics as far as sound goes. I've seen a lot of videos where a guitar maker would pick up a slab of wood maybe he's going to use to make the face of the guitar, and he'll hold it up and he'll tap it, and you'll hear a note, boom, and how long that note rings is called sustain, okay? Some woods will have more sustain, other woods will be more reserved as far as how long they hold the note out. Another thing you'll notice is the various kinds of wood will hold a different note. They'll sound totally different, higher pitch or lower pitch, okay? So the wood has a lot to do with it. How the wood is processed also has a lot to do with it. And that's where we get into sanding. Now the differences in the woods between an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar, since the electric guitar wood itself is not manufacturing the sound like the acoustic guitar is, you can use anything to make an electric guitar. It's become quite popular these days to make a form and put some, for instance, if somebody likes spiders, they'd put some spiders in this form, pour a whole bunch of clear epoxy resin on top of it, and make a guitar body out of that clear epoxy resin with spiders in it.
That makes sense. Do you know what type of wood this specific guitar is?
This is walnut. This is Sitka spruce on the top of this one. Sitka spruce is the most popular wood there is to make the soundboard of the guitar.
What about the pick guard? Isn't that made out of different wood sometimes?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll make that out of wood. More often than not, they're making that out of plastic. Okay. Pick guard is very important for people that play with picks, because if you've ever seen Willie Nelson's guitar, he's got a hole worn right here. He does not have a pick guard. That's a classical guitar. They're not meant to have pick guards. And he, because he plays with a pick, has worn a hole in his guitar. He calls his guitar trigger, and he refuses to change guitars because that's the one he's used to.
Yeah, some people just keep it the same.
Is the sound, you're talking about vibration in the body, how does the different woods or different sanding techniques affect the quality of that vibration?
The different woods, there's a term called Janka hardness. This expresses the hardness of various woods. The harder woods will give you more of a crystal clear sound. The softer woods will muffle the sound a little bit and give more of what's called a warm tone.
Is that because it kind of flexes because it's softer?
Yeah, and it absorbs more of the sound from inside the guitar as well. And so, you can change the sound of a guitar simply by the wood choice you make when you're building the guitar.
So these softer woods that absorb the vibration and the sound waves more, how would undersanding or oversanding kind of affect that? Would that be a problem?
A lot of it comes down to the scratch pattern. More so with guitars than any other woodworking project you're going to have. For instance, if you make a set of cabinets for your kitchen. The scratch pattern is important that you leave on the wood, but you're not trying to get it completely flat. You want, like for instance, this table. If you look closely at this table, you can see the indentions in the wood grain and stuff. That's all the character of the wood. When it comes to guitars, they actually use what's called pore filler to fill all these little lines you see in this table, because they want the perfectly flat surface with the shine and the sheen, and that affects the sound a whole lot more. So they're most likely sanding up to much higher grits, much finer grits than you would with typical woodworking.
And what about the neck and the head? Do you generally want harder woods for that, or is that?
Yeah, the neck is very important because there's a lot of torsion between the nut and the bridge. And conceivably, in fact, if you string a guitar and you put it in your closet and you let it sit there for a couple of years, more likely than not, when you pull that thing out, you could sight down this neck and it's going to have a bow. Wow. From the pull of those strings. I've seen it time after time after time. So there's actually a metal rod through this guitar neck called a truss rod. And that serves two purposes. You have to pull a little bit of a bow into a neck when you first make the guitar. But that truss rod allows you to adjust how much bow that neck has. And it also keeps that neck from bowing too much. So when you get into sanding, you start looking at the different parts of a guitar, and you can see there's a lot of very intricate sanding going on here. These necks, some of them are manufactured using a CNC machine with a ball nose spiral bit, and it'll actually carve the shapes, all the pieces you see here. But this still has to be sanded. I've watched video after video after video of various guitar companies, and there does not seem to be any one particular way that everybody does something. They all have their own ways of doing things. Now, I could conceive, if I were sanding this neck before it got put on the guitar and I wanted to refine this shape and to get it all smoothed out, I could see a Mac mop coming in really handy here. Okay? As well as some foam sanding products. Okay? And then especially when you get to the point to where you've got the guitar assembled, you're putting finish on it, and you want to sand in between coats of finish. I mean, I'm thinking silicon carbide all day long, possibly on a foam sanding pad, and doing all this by hand. There's a lot of hand sanding that takes place.
That's what I was about to ask, is there a lot of hand sanding? So when you're hand sanding, what Klingspor products are you thinking for the guitar or the guitar manufacturing process?
There are a lot of different ones you can use. I saw an interesting thing a couple of days ago in one of the major guitar companies, and I could mention names, but I won't at this point. And one of the luthiers there was sanding parts of the guitar, and what he did was he took a PSA, 5-inch PSA disc, and he stuck it to his hand, and that's how he sanded the guitar. Because your hand has more flexibility than just about any tool you can think of, you know. The LS312 J-Flex, that's our yellow material. It's actually got a multi-bond lubricant on it, but it's super flexible. And woodworkers absolutely love it. I think part of the reason they do is because that multi-bond lubricant makes it a little less aggressive as far as how much material it removes. And so, in sanding a guitar, I'd be all over that 312 J-Flex. Good stuff.
Now, we talked about softwoods versus hardwoods. I'd imagine the products you recommend would change with which kind of wood you're using, correct?
Yeah, it would, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about as well. You know, I mentioned Janka hardness, and you can look up each wood on the internet and find out its Janka hardness, how hard it is, the rating for it. And based on what that information tells you, you could design your specific abrasives around the type of wood you're sanding. It's interesting because the woods will vary a lot on guitars. As you can see, the neck of the guitar is made of completely different wood than the body of the guitar. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So how many different woods are in the making of that one?
In this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 different woods in this guitar. Wow. Yeah, the fingerboard is made out of, a lot of times, ebony. They'll use ebony wood or rosewood. But yeah, it's and like I say, the different woods that you use will determine the sound you get out of the guitar, including the neck. If you take a neck blank and you hold it up in the air and you tap it with your finger, you'll get a boink, and you might get a bright sound or you might get a dull sound. But that has something to do with the sound you're going to get out of the sound hole of the guitar as well.
So with so many different woods, there's got to be a lot of different sanding techniques and material or abrasive materials that you could use. Can you go through that, maybe like sanding between coats, using different woods or different abrasives on different woods? Like people see a guitar and they think it's more of a simple process, but just hearing what you're talking about now, there's a lot that goes into it, and it sounds like they need a lot more abrasives than we may think. So just walk through that a little bit.
My go-to on just about any woodworking project is always aluminum oxide. Yep. For the simple reason that aluminum oxide can do just about anything there is to do on a piece of wood. Mm-hmm. But when you get down to sanding finish coats, let's say I'd start with maybe some PS33 or some FP77, mm-hmm. Okay? PS33 is our paper back product. It's in fact our most popular product out there. And the FP77 is a film back product. The difference between the two is the paperback product will give you a good fine finish sanding coat, but the film is a flatter substrate, much flatter substrate. So when you apply abrasive grains to that film back product, it's going to sand a whole lot flatter. Gotcha. So when we get into the final stages of sanding the wood, I would be more likely to use the FP77. Then when we start putting finish coats on the wood itself, my first thought goes to PS11. That silicon carbide abrasive grain is going to give you a better, sharper, more even scratch pattern than just about anything else we have. That silicon carbide is really sharp, hard abrasive, and it's hard to beat in sanding between coats of finish. And as we move up, you get to the point to where you're starting to buff the finish because you want that high sheen. Yeah. And so we could get into buffing wheels and compounds and stuff like that. So they do use buffing wheels? They do, yes. Okay.
Awesome. You mentioned like foam products and flap wheels and things like that. When would those kind of come into play?
Well, for instance, if I was sanding the back of this neck, a Mac mop would cover this entire neck all at one time. Or a foam sanding pad would wrap right around there.
Would that be something like a silicon carbide foam sanding product you'd use for something like that?
If you're sanding between the coats of finish, yeah. I would stick with aluminum oxide sanding the wood itself.
Okay, gotcha.
And you know, a lot of this type of stuff up here, a lot of that is done by hand as well. And there are several different tools that we have that you could use to do something like that with. When you get to sanding this part here, I could see a Mac mop or a sanding star being used on that. And again, that sanding star is using the LS312J Flex, which has that multi-bond lubricant that everybody seems to like as far as the woodworking industry is concerned.
So we talking about finishing of the acoustic. If we jump over to finishing of an electric guitar, so obviously it can be made from anything. We've learned that. So there's even more abrasives that can be used when finishing that based on what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And the finishing processes are completely different as well. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was about 10 years old, I had a child-sized acoustic guitar, and the finish was all scratched. You know, we were kids. We were kind of rough on the thing. And I decided one day I wanted to refinish that guitar. And I decided what I was going to do is paint it. So I found some semi-gloss black paint, and I sanded that thing down. I guarantee I was using aluminum oxide abrasives and didn't even know it at the time. But I sanded that thing down, and I took that black paint and I painted this entire guitar, and it looked really nice, but it still wasn't quite there, and I found some silver paint. And so I took that silver paint and I made footprints walking across the surface of that guitar. It looked fantastic, especially for a 10-year-old kid. But the downside to it is when I added all that paint to the surface of that acoustic guitar, which is supposed to vibrate, it wouldn't let it vibrate. So when you hit the string, you'd get thunk, and that was about it. There wasn't much to it. So finishing and acoustic, finishing and electric, two totally different birds.
You have more freedom to customize and all that with an electric versus an acoustic.
Yeah, you're going to get a slight bit of vibration out of the body of this guitar, but not much. Your sound is going to come from your pickups through your electronic system and out to the amplifier. So you can do anything you want with this. I mean, you could paint it, you could distress it, you could take a torch and burn it. I mean, all kinds of different
You
things.
could just about take a rock and put some wires on it.
I remember a movie called Swiss Family Robinson, and they took a turtle shell and they made a guitar out of it.
Okay.
So you could make an electric guitar out of just about anything.
All right. Well, I think I know the answer to this, but I have to ask: electric guitar or acoustic?
Acoustic for me.
Okay.
I can play both. When you hook an electric guitar up to an amplifier, it's a whole lot more forgiving because the amplifier is taking that sound and making it bigger, so any mistakes you make are not going to be quite as noticeable. An acoustic guitar is more of an acquired touch.
I got you. All right.
Yep. So I think that's about all we have as far as guitar making goes. There are a lot of great guitar making companies out there. A lot more than I had ever anticipated when I started looking into it. And if you watch their videos, you'll see different finishing processes and different sanding processes. But the main point I think we can take from that is that we have products for any of them.
Yeah.
We do. Any of our products will work for everything I've seen them do in the finishing process.
As a woodworker yourself, have you ever built a guitar, or do you intend to do that someday?
That's on my bucket list. That is definitely on my bucket list.
Well, we got some sandpaper you can use.
Okay, we'll try that.
As always, it's been really good sitting down and having conversation. If you have any questions for us, my name's Nikolai.
I'm Nick.
I'm Matt.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can reach our toll-free line, or you can email us at roundtable@klingspor.com. Nick, what do you say you grab the acoustic and play us out?